Know the power of the dark side.
Welcome to Star Wars Chatter, hosted by Andrew Manzark. Now you're losing your power.
Hello, welcome to the Star Wars Chatter, hosted by Andrew Van Zarg. So today we're going to talk about Star Wars spaceships. And don't forget, the Star Wars Chatter is your safe space to discuss Star Wars or music. So let's get started. We're going to listen to the first song of the show, and it's called Second Chances, the 8-bit house tech remix by yours truly. So let's get it. Let's go, and let's have some fun. May the Force be with you, and here we go.
so sweet, and her words were never cut that deep. Your smile has slowly faded. Your light has gotten dimmer because of her. I've heard that you'll remember who you were before, because I swear you were happier. Your smile has slowly faded. Your light has gotten dimmer because of her. I've heard that you'll remember who you were before, because I swear you were happier. Oh, hey, grace is the
All right. This is the Star Wars Chatter, your safe space to discuss Star Wars or music. And today's topic is the Star Wars spaceships. So let me know in the comments down below, what's your favorite spaceship from Star Wars? Before we continue listening to more music and actually getting into the discussion of the Star Wars spaceships, we're gonna compare. We're gonna do a top best ships of all time, and we're gonna just have a blast and a lot of fun when it comes to the Star Wars spaceships. So for now, we're gonna listen to our next song called "Love" by Kaija Streams. Let's go.
Stuck in this odyssey, watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Stuck in this odyssey, watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Stuck in this odyssey, watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Wasting my time with you, but I like it, I watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Stuck in this odyssey, watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Stuck in this odyssey, watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Wasting my time with you, but I like it too. I'm wasting away, it's true, but I like wasting time with you. Wasting my time with you, but I like it too. I'm wasting away, it's true, but I like wasting time with you. Stuck in this odyssey, watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Wasting my time with you, but I like it too. We've got wasting away, it's true, but I like wasting time with you.
Now you're losing with power.
Let's get started here. When it comes to Star Wars, we don't always need to be a Force user to be awesome. We can always be a pilot, or better said, a starfighter. Let's talk about the most iconic spaceships, and in the comments you can let me know your favorite ones. But before we get started, let's get a little bit of music in the background so we can get something to listen to while we talk. Alright, we're gonna leave that there in the background. That'll help us get ourselves attenuated with the flow. So, the most iconic starships of Star Wars, we can start with the Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon is like one of the most highly recognizable spaceship. You know, it's even featured on posters. It's everywhere. You know, when we say Star Wars, most people, when they say Star Wars starships or spaceships, we think of the Millennium Falcon. So, we come from the Millennium Falcon to the Razor Crest. We score the Star Wars galaxy in search of the most awesome ships, some of the most iconic spacecraft in sci-fi blast across the original trilogy, the prequels, and beyond. So we match them against each other by size, speed, weaponry, if any. Let's check out the starships of Star Wars. So at number 41 we have Lambda class, the Imperial shuttle. So about 66 feet, 20 meters. This relatively little guy packs a punch, packed to cannon, hyperdrive, and a host of famous users from Darth Vader to Luke Skywalker, who uses one to escape Death Star 2 in Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Then from there we got number 40, the Radiant 7. This weaponless work mine like a Republic cruiser is the first craft seen in Star Wars The Phantom Menace. It's literally and figuratively sends the franchise to a new world when it delivers Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan to Naboo. Not all starships in Star Wars, not all spaceships in Star Wars have to have a weapons, have to have flashy little things. Some spacecrafts of Star Wars can simply be like a boss, like this transportational thing. They all have the purpose to transport you from point A to point B, but some are more for war, for fighting, for defense. But then some others are just to get you from point A to point B. So from there we go to the Naboo Royal Cruiser. Well, Padme Amidala, sweet looking, approximately 128 feet long, approximately 39 meters. Craft looks a bit like a sleek styled B-29 bomber. It has no bombs, but it gives credit for this. Its swift destruction at the beginning of Star Wars Attack of the Clones sets the plot in motion. Then from there we got the Vulture droid. In a galaxy full of cruisers and battleships, Trade Federation Alignment starfighters, first seen in Phantom Menace. It's a not less than 23 feet, 7 meters in length. But it can do more what no ship can. It can transform itself into a walking land fighter. You know, that for me is really interesting when it comes to the Star Wars starships, you know? Most starships are just either a simple starship or as we call it in Galaxy of Heroes, a Capital One. You know, the big ship. And this being like a transformable thing, that it transforms from being a big old regular starship into a land vehicle, that is a step up in my book here. So after that we got the Racer Crest, and the Racer Crest is the worn entry former military craft. It's the title character's ride in Disney Plus's The Mandalorian. And for me, this sets a new scale for how ships might feel and look on the Star Wars franchise. And I think that the Racer Crest is by far one of my favorites in terms of visual looking StarCraft. I like how big and bulky and menacing it looks, you know. So regarding its specs, it's currently scarce, and we know that it impresses the Mithril bounty in the series first episode. We also know that it's trustworthy enough to transport the child, aka Grogu. So there's many starships of Star Wars that we can mention, we can talk about. So if you have your favorite ones, let me know in the chat down below, and I'll be glad to experience and read your favorite starship from Star Wars. From there we have the Luxury 3000. This was introduced in the Clone Wars. This is more than 180 foot long. Craft reminds us of nothing in the franchise. Not even a space yacht should be underestimated. Luxury ride or no, this is hot number can be absolutely sipped past postures, according to StarWars.com. Some models are even armed with cannons, makes that tastefully concealed cannons. So after that, we got the Nebulon B frigate. This nondescript rebel convoy ship boosted a moderate number of cannons, turbolasers, and tractor beams. It's distinguished by a sick baby. Luke Skywalker gets a new hand suit on while aboard on one of these at the end of Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. Ooh, we got the UT-60D, developed by Rogue One Star Wars Story. This transporter/gunner ship is also known as the U-Wing. It has wings that can face forward and backward, and it's got a pair of not only to be trifled with laser cannons. Its most notable weapon, however, may be the K's felons. It's been known to transport Jyn Erso among them. You know, for me, Rogue One sets a new visual and atmosphere to the Star Wars franchise. I think this is when we started to see like a new trend within the Star Wars universe. So Tantive 4, this 416-foot-long ship equipped with turbo lasers and cannons. It's dwarfed and overtaken by Darth Vader's Imperial Star Destroyer. But in a way, the Tantive 4 will always be untouchable. It's the very first ship seen in the very first Star Wars. You know, the Tantive 4 and the Star Destroyer for me are like the most iconic dark side Imperial or Empire, better said, Empire starship, you know? And having it here on the list makes a lot of sense, you know, because come on, the first sequence in the films you see, it's the Tantive 4 and the Star Destroyer, you know, when it slowly goes into that into space, and it slowly pans up, and then you see the Star Destroyer and the Tantive 4. So at number 32 we got MG-100 Star Fortress Bomber. This kind of cool. The proton bomb equipped resistance spacecraft looked like a giant flying Star Trek phaser. This is definitely not cool. 2 squadrons worth of this clunky ship gets wiped out by swarming First Order TIE fighters in the opening battle of the Star Wars The Last Jedi. Speaking of bummers, if you were a pilot, or better said, a starfighter of Star Wars, would you be an assault? Would you be a interceptor, or would you be a bomber? In my case, in terms of game, I would be an interceptor. They're fast, they shoot quick, and they can maneuver really, really good. But in terms of real world, I would be a bomber. In the real world, if I lived in the Star Wars universe, I would be a bomber. Because no one can go against a bomb, you know? You should aim, shoot, and... But when it comes to the game, it's a little slow. Aiming with the bomber takes a little bit of skill, since of how slow it goes when you're moving the aim. So I think that in real world, I would be the bomber, just because I'll be safe and I'll last longer. But in video game, I choose interceptors, just so I can shoot faster, run faster, and no one can stop me. Well, for now, we're gonna go listen to a little bit more music on the Star Wars Chatter, hosted by Andrew Van Zark, your safe space to discuss Star Wars. So let's get it. May the Force be with you, and let's get the next song. We're gonna listen to Morning by String Beats.
Now you're listening to Power.
Now you're listening with power. The sponsor of my stream and podcast is DistroKid. If you want 10% off on your first subscription with DistroKid, release your music to the world on every major music platform. Make sure to go to my website, andrewvanzark.com, and click on the discount link under the tab of DistroKid. The information on this podcast is my opinion and some internet research. Today we're talking about the Star Wars starships, the spaceships of Star Wars, and it doesn't have to be from a specific era or from a specific show like Clone Wars or any of that. It's all in general. Like I've been mentioning, the Millennium Falcon is by far the biggest starship out there. Everyone recognizes as the Millennium Falcon, and I want you to tell me on the chat down below, what is your favorite starship? You gotta tell me all the things that involve the show, involve this awesomeness that it has to be with the discussion of whatever the topic is at the moment. And in this case, it's the Star Wars starships. And, I've been a fan of the series of Star Wars since I was a little kid, and I've always had a fascination with all the things related to Star Wars, specifically those innuendos, those little details that what makes Star Wars, like the lightsabers, the abilities of the Force, the starships. And today I wanted to dedicate the episode to the starships. We were previously mentioning a bunch of starships that are really iconic, and we could kind of say the best around the Star Wars universe, but mostly I'm basing myself on iconicness, how much people can relate to them and have seen them pretty often. If you haven't heard of any of the ships I'm mentioning here, then there's always a first time for everything. There's always a first time. And there's so many Star Wars ships around the world, and we can mention a few here, like for example in the Mandalorian, the Razor Crest. The Razor Crest was like one of the newest spaceships added to the franchise when it comes to live action. And it's interesting how when you see the Han Solo Star Wars story, and then you see the second trilogy, and you see the original trilogy, you see how different the Millennium Falcon looks. This being the case that Lando was really snobby when it came to pieces for the Millennium Falcon. He would only accept high quality ship parts, And once Han Solo got the Millennium Falcon from Lando in a game of Sabacc, he started to cheap out on many of the pieces that he needed to fix every now and then from the Millennium Falcon. And that's why when you see the Millennium Falcon from Lando to Han Solo to Rey and Chewie, I'm saying it based on lore, story, and timeline, not when you actually got to see it on, theatrical releases, you'll see differences within the Millennium Falcon. And the Millennium Falcon is so different from most of the spaceships around Star Wars. It's flat, kind of has like this disc kind of feel, but at the same time it's a little elongated. And it's awesome when you see it go to hyperdrive, and you see the little blue line it does from the back. That is just so cool. So damn cool. And I remember when the second trilogy of Star Wars came out, and many people were so hyped when they see the Millennium Falcon do that little flip on the trailer. Wow, I remember that like it was yesterday, And I do think that seeing the changes within the Millennium Falcon gives us a bit of history, a bit of a story, a backstory behind a spaceship. I think the Millennium Falcon is one of those starships from Star Wars that has the biggest backstory ever. Most of these starships only happen when the Galactic Empire became a thing, they built those ships, and that was the only purpose. And then it didn't go from generations to generations or from one person to the other to the other. You know, it stayed within the same people, and probably when it got blown up from those battles with the rebellion, you know, it's when things change, you know, and they make new ones. You know, the second Death Star had different ships. The First Order had his own ships. You know, it is one of those things that we have to keep in mind, that the Millennium Falcon has the most, if not the biggest, backstory within the Star Wars universe. So anyways, let's go listen to some more music here on the Star Wars Chatter Show, hosted by Andrew Van Zark. And we're going to listen to Spacecraft from my album Channel 3. Let's go.
Now you're listening with power.
Welcome to a new era where technology and life forms became one. A new way of thought was implemented onto you. Those thoughts were implemented onto you by ones and zeros, called binary code, and it's up to you to restore civilization. Now get on your spacecraft, switch to hyper mode, and save the universe.
Alright. Hello. For those of you joining the stream right about now, whether it's on YouTube or on Twitch, make sure to share around and let the people know that I'm live and that we can discuss Star Wars as casually as possible. Imagine like you're going to the cantina and you're gonna talk about Star Wars. And today's topic is the Star Wars starships. I've already mentioned quite a few starships around the show. So if you have any Star Wars spaceship that you want to mention, that you think is awesome, and you can tell me why. It could be from the Clone Wars era, from the Rebellion era. It could be from the High Republic. It can be from Legends comics, Legends books. Doesn't matter what starship you want to talk about, mention it, and I'll be glad to discuss it. Or ask, why do you think that starship is amazing? Why do you think we should be discussing that one? Which ones do you think are super iconic? I do think that the Millennium Falcon, the Razor Crest, the Slave One, the Star Destroyer are really iconic spaceships, if you ask me. So, if you have anything to mention and any of those Star Wars starships, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be happy to respond to you. This show is not just for me, it's for all of you to enjoy, to have fun, and to listen to awesome discussion, talk, and news updates of Star Wars, and to listen to awesome music, because sometimes I just leave the music running by itself and let people enjoy the song as is, you know? Sometimes we gotta listen to hot bangers. Some of the songs are gonna be my original songs, and some songs are gonna be songs that I find around the internet that are DMCA free, that are awesome and deserve a little bit more of a listen. So if you have things to talk, things to say, don't be afraid. I'm always here to answer, to discuss, or to simply read it out loud and let people know what is your thoughts, or what do you want to, take out in the world, because whatever you say, it will appear on screen so that you can all have a little snippet of exposure. It's my appreciation to let you know that I appreciate what you have to say. So don't be afraid to talk. I don't bite. I only speak. And when I speak good words. All right? So let's continue listening to music while all of you decide to say stuff on the show, and we'll be right back with some more Star Wars information. So let's continue talking about starships and Star Wars in general. You know, there is a new show that came out recently, Light and Magic, on Disney Plus. I was gonna say XD, don't know why, but Disney Plus, and it tells behind the scenes of many different models that were done through Star Wars. But in particular, we do get to see how they made and how they built the, Millennium Falcon. And seeing that is a thrill, is a blast. Seeing all the details that came in order to see it, the way they designed it, the way they thought about it, it's something to acknowledge at least once, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. It just brings a lot to the table. And I like seeing behind the scenes stuff, as a producer for music and radio, and a musician. I do like to see the behind the scenes of all these models and all these designs that came to make the Star Wars universe, or any franchise in that matter, because I like learning the ways that people produce, the way that things are being made, and seeing the light and magic. It's just a refresher. I liked one of my favorite behind the scenes or production show that I like from Disney Plus is the one that it shows the sounds of the galaxy. The ones they show all the sounds that are within Star Wars. That one is one of my favorites, because I'm an audiophile. I do love audio a lot, and understanding audio and analyzing audio and mixing, mastering, editing audio, producing sounds in a rhythm out of one single note or something, or frequency. It's just something that brings me a lot of joy. It brings me a lot of joy when it comes to the world of production, and like I said, I'm a huge audiophile, so I like the I like to experience in heavy detail all those sound effects that lots of those sound designers go through to make them. When they use objects that are not what they are, and they sound what they want them to sound like. For example, like when they shake a sheet metal and it sounds like a thunderstorm rain. Oh my god, that is brilliant. And using coconut on a rubber covered in cloth, and heat it like in a rhythm, and it sounds like a horse running. Those things are just the things that I enjoy the most. So seeing Light and Magic on Disney Plus, it's something that I really, really, really liked. I haven't seen it all. I've only seen like a little bit of pictures here and there from the show, but I'll watch it today completely, or as much as possible, so I can next time give more in-depth opinion on it. But those behind the I like that they're. I think Star Wars is the only streaming series at the moment that is throwing behind the scenes things. I don't see much of Marvel and Pixar and all that throwing that much. I do see from Pixar a lot. Pixar does also throw a lot. So as Pixar and Star Wars, those are pumping a lot of behind the scenes stuff. But when you go to like Netflix, Hulu, you go to many different streaming services, you barely see behind the scenes, and those kind of things are awesome, and they're not that hard to produce. All you gotta do is record some clips when they're recording the production, and just compile them and get some questions from the people working behind the production, and you're done. You got yourself running. It's not that hard. It's basically like doing like an interview with some clips of the behind the scenes, That's how you do a behind the scenes production, at least in my opinion. And it should be more often than not for things that are really big, not for everything, because who wants to see the behind the scenes of everything? Not everybody. But if you have a big IP, then sure, behind the scenes would be awesome from a big IP. And since you're a big IP, you're gonna have the chance to do so. The same way that Star Wars and Pixar does it, why can't the rest do it, And I'm only talking about big IPs, nothing else. Because then it will be overly saturated. The world of behind the scenes production. And I used to work with a producer that he would do documentary behind the scenes kind of stuff like that from singers and famous musicians from my island of Puerto Rico. So it's interesting to see those behind the scenes, because it's not just interesting because it entertains me. It's also interesting because you do get to learn so many things on technology, audio, cinematography, editing, visual effects, special effects. Because for me, special effects and visual effects are two different things. For me, special effects are more like the things that make the film flashy. Visual effects are just effects that are only pertinent to the screen, Or like those CGI animations. Those are, for me, visual effects. But special effects for me are like, the color effects and the flashy effects and and for example in Star Wars when you see like the lightsabers and whatnot, for me those are special effects. Things that only enhance the overall composition, not the the scene itself. So that's why I differentiate from special effects to effects, So it is one of those things, that behind the scenes are good to learn. If you're an aspiring producer, musician, and cinematographer or any of that kind of stuff, then I do think that watching those behind the scenes will help you enjoy and appreciate and understand a bit more how does all this work. We're not always going to have the chance to acknowledge all this stuff all the time. Sometimes we're going to have to find it on a behind the scenes, because not everything is written on books. I've learned so much more on the street and watching other people do things of radio, audio, and music than by learning it on college. I learned it more on the outside than what I did on college. On college, what I got was the exposure and the experience of doing it. But in terms of theory knowledge, I learned more outside, let's be honest. And it's like most professions out there, you learn the most outside. The only profession I think that you learn the most in college or university are scientifical degrees, like nurse, doctor, scientist, chemist, whatever, pharmacist, and so on. I think those are the ones that you benefit the most from going to a structural degree and learning. But the rest, you can learn. My dad's not a lawyer. Let's put this as an example. My dad's not a lawyer. He never touched anything when it came to law. But since he hears a lot of radio shows about law, and he used to have cousins and his dad and everything that were around law, he knows a lot about law. He's not as qualified as a lawyer or an attorney or any of that, but he does learn. he has learned a lot to the point that he can have a humongous conversation with attorneys and lawyers to the point that they're like, this guy knows what he's talking about, you know? He knows. So it's one of those things, you know? Sometimes you learn more on the street. And other things are supposed to be learned on educational spaces, whether online or physically. But yeah, if you're listening to the show and you're watching this either now or after I finish the radio show, let me know in the comments down below your favorite thing from Star Wars, your favorite starship from Star Wars, and I'll be glad to respond whether live on the show or after the show came out. And for those of you watching on Twitch, the videos are up there, the VODs are up there for a little bit, but on YouTube it'll stay forever, for as long as YouTube is alive. And it's one of those things, you know, that we can enjoy for the most part. And if you can share around, I'll be more than happy. This show is possible because of all of you, not because I want to do it and just me, you know. So let's continue listening to some more music here on the Star Wars Chatter Show, hosted by Andrew Van Zark. And we are going to listen to... Oyama Music, Redondo.
Now you're listening with power.
watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Stuck in this odyssey, watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Stuck in this odyssey, watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Wasting my time with you, but I like it too. I'm wasting away, it's true, but I like wasting time with you. Wasting my time with you, but I like it too. I'm wasting away, it's true, but I like wasting time with you. Stuck in this odyssey, watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Stuck in this odyssey, watching time ticking back at me. We've got lost in this galaxy, on a cloud where our hearts are free. Stuck in this odyssey, watching
When you listen to Andrew Van Zark, you listen with power. Now, you're listening with power. Andrew Van Zark. Stream on every major music platform. Power to the music.